please. Just bread." The girl's fingers twist into the man's coat like they belong there, like they have always belonged there, and he feels the pull before he understands it. He doesn't look down at her at first. "I ain't got any." His voice is flat, already walking away even as his boots stay still. "You're lying." The grip tightens. He exhales slow, jaw set. "Let go. I know you." That makes him look, really look. Dirt on her face, dry lips, eyes too steady for someone that small. "You don't. My name is." His hand snaps up, not touching her, just stopping the air between them. "Don't say it." She doesn't blink. "Eliza." The sound lands wrong, like a door opening where there should be a wall. His breath stutters. "No." He doesn't move for a long second, then another, then something inside him shifts without asking permission. He turns halfway, like he might leave, like he might run, but his hand drifts to his holster out of habit, not threat, and it trembles there. "Say it again." His voice is quieter now, thinner. "Eliza." That name's buried. Not to me. The road behind them feels empty in a way that presses in, like it's listening. He studies her face again, slower this time, searching for something he already knows he won't find. "Who told you that name?" "My mother." The word lands heavier than the name did. "She's dead." "She said you'd say that?" He swallows, eyes flicking past her like the past might be standing there in the open. "Lots of folks say things." "She said you'd pretend." His shoulders tighten. "I ain't pretending." "You are right now." He almost laughs, but it dies before it forms. "You got the wrong man." "No." "Yeah." "No." The way she says it is final, not loud, not angry, just certain. He tries to pull his coat free. She doesn't let go. "You need to move along." "I'm not moving." "You can't stay here. I can stay wherever I want." He looks around again, checking the edges, the horizon, anything to break the moment. Nothing does. "You got family?" "Had." "Where?" "Burned." The word hits him in the chest, sharp and clean. He stiffens. "Lots of things burn." "Not like that." He shakes his head, stepping back again, testing her grip. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I do." The rhythm of it feels wrong, like a memory trying to repeat itself. He rubs his face with one hand, rough, tired. "Kid, listen to me. Don't call me that." "Then what do I call you?" "You know what to call me." He looks at her again, longer now, and something cracks at the edges of his control. "You ain't her." "I didn't say I was." "You're saying enough. You hear enough." He exhales hard through his nose. "This is foolish." "Then walk away." He doesn't. "Go on." She loosens her grip just a little, like she's testing him now. "You said you would." His boots stay planted. "I got no business here." "You always say that." His head snaps back toward her. "Always?" That's what she said. He takes a step closer without meaning to. "What else did she say?" The girl watches him, measuring something. "That you'd come back one day." He shakes his head. "I didn't." "You did." "I didn't." "You're here." That answer sits between them, simple and heavy. He looks down at her hand, still twisted in his coat. He doesn't pull away this time. "What's your mother's name?" "You know it. Say it." "Why?" "Because I said so. You don't get to say so." His jaw tightens again, anger rising now, easier than fear. "You don't tell me what I get." "I just did. You got a mouth on you. You taught me." That stops him cold. He stares at her, searching harder now, like he might force the truth out of her face. "I never taught you anything. Not me." "Then who?" "Her." His voice drops low. "Say her name." The girl tilts her head slightly. "You don't want that. Say it." "No." "Say it." "No." He steps closer again, shadow falling over her. "Say it." She doesn't step back. "You'll break if I do." "I ain't breaking." "You are." His hand curls into a fist at his side. "Say it." She holds his gaze. "Mara." The name hits softer than the first one, but it cuts deeper because it fits. He closes his eyes for a second, just a second, but it's enough for something old to surface. "That's not your mother." "It is." "No." "It is." "No." His voice is sharper now, almost desperate. "She's gone." "She told me you'd say that too." He opens his eyes again, and there's something raw in them now, something he's been holding down for a long time. People say a lot of things before they go. She didn't go. Everyone goes, not her. He shakes his head slowly, like he's trying to clear it. "Where is she then?" The girl doesn't answer right away. She looks past him, just like he did earlier, out toward nothing. "Waiting." "For what?" "For you." The word lands and stays. Silence stretches out, thick and uncomfortable. He finally reaches up and gently pries her fingers off his coat, one by one. This time she lets him. He takes a step back, then another, putting space between them, but it doesn't help. You need food. Yes. He digs into his bag without looking away from her and pulls out a small piece of hard bread, holds it out. Take it. She doesn't move. Take it. You first. What? You break it. He hesitates, then snaps the bread in half. His hands shake again. Just a little. He hands her the larger piece. She takes it but doesn't eat. Why ain't you eating? Not yet. You said you were hungry. I am, then eat. She keeps watching him. Sit. He frowns. What? Sit down. I ain't sit. Something in her tone makes him listen before he argues. He lowers himself slowly onto the dirt, eyes never leaving her. She sits across from him, close enough that he can see every crack in her lips, every line of dust on her skin. They sit there facing each other, bread in their hands, neither eating. The world feels too quiet. Why now? He asks finally. Why what? Why come to me now? She shrugs slightly. You came to me. I didn't know you were here. You did. I didn't. You felt it. He looks down at the bread, then back at her. I don't feel anything. That's the problem. He lets out a slow breath. Kid, don't. Fine. He pauses. Eliza. She nods once. Yeah, he swallows again, the name settling in his mouth like something heavy. What do you want from me? She finally lifts the bread and takes a small bite, chewing slow, eyes still on him. After a moment, she answers. The truth. He looks away first this time. You're coming with me. His hand closes around her arm before she can answer, rough, sudden, like he's trying to pull her out of the moment itself. No. She plants her feet into the dirt, small but stubborn. You don't get a say. I do. You don't. He pulls harder, dragging her off the road toward a line of dead trees that lean like they remember something bad. You're scared. Shut up. You're him. I said shut up. His grip tightens without thinking, fingers digging into bone. She doesn't flinch, doesn't even wince. Just watches him like she's been waiting for this exact moment. He keeps walking, boots cutting a path through dry grass, pulling her into the shade where the road disappears from sight. The air feels different here, still and close. Let go. No, you're hurting me. Good. She tilts her head slightly. You don't mean that. I do. No, you don't. He stops so fast she almost bumps into him. He turns, eyes sharp, something breaking through the calm he tries to hold. You don't know what I mean? You don't know anything? I know enough. Silence presses in again. Heavier this time. They burned your house. The words come out simple, like a fact that doesn't need proving. His face tightens. Who told you that? She's dead. She said you'd say that too. His jaw clenches, teeth grinding for a second before he looks away. People talk. She didn't talk, she remembered. He shakes his head like he can shake her voice out of it. You're mixing things up? No, yeah, no. The same rhythm again, same certainty, and it digs under his skin. He starts walking again, slower now, dragging her deeper between the trees where the ground dips slightly, where no one on the road would see them. You need to stop talking. Why? Because you don't know what you're saying. I do. You don't. I do. He exhales hard, letting go of her arm just long enough to run a hand over his face, then grabbing her again like he's afraid she might disappear if he doesn't. Listen to me. No. Listen. No. You're going to listen. You can't make me. He leans down closer, voice low. I can. She doesn't move back. You won't. He stares at her, really stares now, like he's trying to find the lie. There isn't one. That bothers him more than anything she's said. What else did she tell you? He asks finally, quieter now, almost careful. She watches him for a second before answering. That you ran. He flinches, small but real. I survived. She said you left her. The words hit clean and deep. He straightens slowly, like something just pressed into his chest. That's not how it happened. That's what she said. She wasn't there. She was. She wasn't. She was. His voice rises without warning. She wasn't. The echo of it hangs in the trees. He breathes hard, chest tight, eyes flicking around like the past might step out from behind a trunk. You don't get to say that, he mutters. I just did. You don't know what that night was. I know enough. You don't. Then tell me. He hesitates. That's all it takes. She sees it. You won't. I don't owe you anything. You owe her. He looks at her like he might strike her. But the moment passes. His hand loosens on her arm again. She told me about the fire. The girl continues, voice steady, calm in a way that feels wrong. Said it started fast. He closes his eyes for a second. Just a second. Stop. Said the doors wouldn't open. Stop. Said you were there. I said stop. He opens his eyes again, sharper now. You don't get to put words in her mouth. I'm not. You are. You're scared because I'm not. He shakes his head, backing up a step this time like he needs space. You don't sound like a child. I'm not just a child. Then what are you? She doesn't answer right away. He watches her waiting, but she just stands there, dust on her face, bread still in one hand, uneaten. Say it, he presses. Say what you are. She finally shrugs, small and simple. I'm what's left. That answer sits wrong. He doesn't like it. That don't mean anything. It does to you. No. Yes. He lets out a short breath, almost a laugh, but not quite. You got a strange way of talking. You taught me. I didn't teach you anything, not me. Then who? Her. He looks away again, slower this time, like it costs more. The trees creak softly, a dry sound that feels too loud. You need to go, he says after a moment. I'm not going. You can't stay with me. I'm not asking to stay. Then what are you asking? She steps closer, closing the space he tried to make. For you to stop lying. He meets her eyes again, and there's no anger there now, just something tired, something worn thin. I ain't lying. You are. I'm not. You are. He shakes his head again, slower now. You don't know what truth is. I do. You don't. Then show me. He doesn't answer. The silence stretches again, longer this time, heavier. He looks down at the ground, at the marks his boots made dragging her here, then back at her. You shouldn't be here, he says quietly. Neither should you. That lands in a different way. He lets out a breath, shoulders dropping just a little. You don't let go, do you? No, just like her. The words slip out before he can stop them. The girl nods once. I know. He looks at her again, something softer creeping in despite himself, something he doesn't trust. What do you want from me, he asks, voice low, almost tired. She doesn't hesitate this time. The truth. He studies her face, searching again, like he might find a way out of this if he looks hard enough. There isn't one. Truth don't change anything, he mutters. It changes you. He lets out a long breath, looking past her again, out toward the road he left behind. I ain't looking to change. Too late. He looks back at her, slow, steady. Why? She holds his gaze, unblinking. Because you already started. They move without speaking at first. The man walking ahead like he already knows where this path leads, the girl following close enough that her steps fall into his. The ground shifts from dry road to softer earth, then to a stretch of land that looks forgotten on purpose. He slows before he realizes it, shoulders tightening as something old begins to settle over him. The girl steps past him and points without hesitation. This is it. He doesn't look at the place she's pointing to, not right away. No, yes. He finally lifts his eyes. The grave is shallow, marked by a crooked piece of wood pushed into the dirt, no name carved, just lines worn by weather. His jaw sets. This grave is empty. You're lying, I buried it myself. She turns to him, eyes steady. You buried what? He doesn't answer for a moment. Then quiet. Nothing. She kneels before the grave like the answer. Doesn't matter. Like she already knows more than he will say. Her hands press into the dirt, fingers pushing past the dry surface. He watches her, something uneasy moving through him. Don't. She keeps digging. She said you'd come back. She was wrong. She said you'd dig. I'm not digging. She looks up at him, calm, certain. You will. He shakes his head, stepping back once. Then again, like distance might make this place disappear. You don't tell me what I'll do. I don't have to. Yeah, you do. No. Her hands move again, pulling dirt loose, slow but steady. The sound of it fills the quiet in a way that feels too loud. He looks around as if someone might see them, as if this moment needs a witness. There is no one. Just the grave, the girl, and the weight pressing down. Stop, he says again, softer now. She doesn't. You don't know what you're doing. I do. You don't. I do. He exhales hard, running a hand over his face, then dropping it to his side. There's nothing there. Then it won't matter. That answer cuts clean. He watches her dig, Small hands working, stubborn, relentless. You'll hurt yourself. I've been hurt before. That's not what I mean. I know what you mean. He shifts his weight, restless now, like he's standing too close to something that might break open. The wind picks up just enough to move the grass around them, a low sound that brushes against his ears. It feels like a warning. He looks at the grave again, at the uneven dirt, at the mark he left years ago. His mark, his lie. He says, why? Because it's done. It's not. It is. No. The same rhythm returns, steady, unshaken. He clenches his jaw, watching her fingers disappear deeper into the soil. You think digging changes anything? It shows it. Shows what? What you hid. He lets out a short breath, almost a laugh, but there's no humor in it. I didn't hide anything. You did. No. Yes. He takes a step forward, then stops himself. She told me about this place, the girl says, not looking up. His chest tightens again. She didn't know this place. She did. She couldn't. She remembered. You keep saying that. Because it's true. He shakes his head again, slower now, like he's trying to keep something from spilling out. Memory don't work like that. It does when it hurts. He looks down at her, at the way she speaks without hesitation, without doubt. You talk like her. She pauses for just a second, then keeps digging. I know. The answer sits heavy between them. He turns away for a moment, pacing a few steps, then back again, like he can't leave even if he wants to. You're chasing ghosts, he mutters. No, yeah, no. There's nothing under there. Then prove it. He stops moving. Words land simple, direct, impossible to ignore. I don't need to prove anything. You do to me. Why? She finally looks up at him again, dirt on her hands, her face calm. Because I'm still here. That answer stays. Silence stretches again, thicker than before. He looks at the grave, then at her, then back at the grave. His breath comes slower now, heavier. You don't understand, he says. Then make me. It ain't that simple. It is, it's not. It is. He closes his eyes for a second, then opens them again. The place doesn't change. The girl doesn't move. The grave stays where it is, waiting. He swallows, throat dry. I told you, he says quietly. There's nothing there. Then dig. He doesn't answer. Dig. He shakes his head once more. No. She goes back to the dirt, fingers pressing deeper, pulling more loose, undeterred. Fine, she says almost under her breath. I will. That does it. He steps forward fast, grabbing her wrist, pulling her hand out of the ground. Enough. She looks at him, not scared, not surprised. Then you do it. He holds her wrist for a moment longer than he needs to. Then lets go slowly. I do. No, you don't. I do. The wind brushes past again, low and steady. He looks down at the grave, at the disturbed dirt, at the place he chose years ago. His chest tightens, something old rising up whether he wants it or not. He turns away from her and walks a few steps to where a rusted shovel leans against a broken fence post, half hidden in weeds. He stares at it for a long moment, like it might disappear if he waits. It doesn't. His hand lifts, hesitates, then closes around the handle. The wood feels rough, familiar in a way he doesn't like. He stands there for a second longer, then turns back. The girl is still kneeling by the grave, watching him now, waiting. He steps closer, the shovel heavy in his grip. He looks down at her, then at the ground. Fine. The word comes out low, almost lost in the wind. He pushes the blade into the dirt. It breaks easier than he expects. The sound of it cuts through the quiet, sharp and final. He lifts the first shovelful and tosses it aside. Then another, then another. Each strike pulls something with it. The rhythm builds, steady, relentless. Dirt falls away, layer by layer. His breathing grows heavier, matching the motion. The girl doesn't speak now. She just watches, eyes fixed on the space opening in front of him. He doesn't look at her again. He keeps digging. The ground gives way slowly, then easier, like it's been waiting. And with every movement, something buried deeper than the grave begins to rise. The shovel hits dirt again, then again, the sound steady, heavy, filling the space where silence used to sit. The man keeps his eyes down, breath rough, hands working without pause. The hole deepens inch by inch, each movement pulling something darker up with it. The girl stands close now, just behind him, watching without blinking. Then the ground begins to tremble, faint at first, like something distant trying to be ignored. The man slows but does not stop. The girl turns her head slightly toward the sound. Stop digging. Her voice is low, calm but firm. He doesn't look up. Keep going. The tremble grows louder, turning into a rhythm that carries through the dirt. They'll kill us. They already tried. His shovel bites into the ground harder now, faster, like he's racing something he cannot see. The sound becomes clear. Hooves. More than one. Coming fast. The girl steps forward, eyes narrowing toward the edge of the trees. That's the sheriff. The man finally pauses, lifting the shovel slightly, but not turning. He's dead. No. The hooves break through the stillness, loud now, close enough to feel in the chest. The man exhales slowly, setting the shovel back into the dirt. Then he should be. He straightens, turning just as the riders push through the line of trees, dust rising behind them, coats dark, faces harder. At the front sits a man older than the lot. The sheriff. Not dead, not gone, just waiting. Gun clicks slice through the air. Hands up! One of the riders shouts it, but the sheriff says nothing yet. The man doesn't move. His hands stay where they are, one still gripping the shovel. The girl steps closer to him, not behind, not hiding. The sheriff studies them both, slow, deliberate. You buried truth here. His voice is calm, almost bored. The man meets his gaze. I buried a lie. The sheriff's mouth curls slightly. Same thing. The men behind him shift in their saddles, rifles steady, eyes watching for movement that never comes. The girl steps forward then, placing herself between the man and the riders, small, still, unshaken. You don't touch him. The words come out simple, direct. One of the riders laughs under his breath. The sheriff tilts his head slightly, studying her now. Move, child. No, her voice does not rise. It does not shake. It stays exactly where it is. The wind moves through the trees again, carrying dust and something else that feels older. The man watches her back, something tied in his chest, something he does not understand. Move, the sheriff says again, slower this time. No, she does not step aside. She does not look away. The man finally speaks, voice low but clear. She's not moving. The words land heavy in the space between them. The sheriff's eyes shift back to him, something sharper behind them now. You brought her here? No. Then she's in your way. No, then she's a problem. The man's grip tightens on the shovel. She's not your concern. The sheriff smiles then, slow, thin, like he has been waiting for this exact moment. Everything here is my concern. One of the riders shifts his rifle slightly higher, aiming just past the girl's shoulder. The man notices. His body tenses. You digging for something? The sheriff asks. No, looks like you are. I'm not. Because I said so, the sheriff chuckles softly. You always did talk like you owned dirt. The man's jaw tightens. I never owned anything. You owned a secret. The words hit with quiet weight. The girl glances back at the man for a brief second, then forward again. You don't get to take it. The sheriff's eyes flick down to her again. You think this is about taking? I know it is. You don't know anything. I know enough. The same rhythm returns, steady, unbreakable. The sheriff shifts slightly in his saddle, leaning forward just enough to show interest. Where's your mother? The question lands without warning. The girl doesn't hesitate. Gone. Buried, maybe? Here? The sheriff's eyes flick toward the open grave. The girl says nothing. The man speaks instead. This don't concern you. The sheriff looks back at him, smile fading just a little. Everything about you concerns me. Why? Because you didn't stay gone. The air tightens. The riders adjust again, fingers closer to triggers. You should have stayed dead, one of the men mutters. The man hears it. You tried that once. We can try again. The girl lifts her chin slightly. You won't. The rider scoffs. And why not? Because you're scared. The word lands sharp. The sheriff's smile returns, but thinner now. Scared of what? The girl doesn't look away. What he knows. The sheriff studies her again, longer this time. And what's that? She glances at the man once more, then back. You tell him. The sheriff's gaze snaps back to the man. You been talking? No. You sure? Then how does she know anything? The man doesn't answer. The silence says enough. The sheriff exhales slowly, then nods once like a decision has been made. Hands up, he repeats, quieter this time. The man still doesn't move. The girl doesn't either. The riders tense. One finger tightens on a trigger. The sheriff's voice drops, calm and final. Last chance. The man looks at him, steady now, no shaking left. No. The word sits there, unmoving. The sheriff's smile fades completely. He looks at the girl again, then back at the man. Then she dies first. The sentence lands flat, without emotion, like it's already done. The girl doesn't move. The man does not breathe. The world narrows to that one line, that one moment, waiting for something to break. Gunfire splits the air before anyone moves, a sudden crack that tears through the moment and shoves everything into motion. The girl flinches but does not step back. The man moves first, grabbing her shoulder hard. "Run!" His voice cuts through the noise. "No!" She snaps back, pulling against him. Another shot slams into the dirt beside them, spraying dust into their faces. "Run! I won't leave you!" Her voice breaks but holds. "Don't argue!" He shoves her toward the trees, but she resists, feet digging in. The riders spread out, rifles lifting, the sheriff watching without urgency, like this is something he has seen before and already knows how it ends. Shots crack again, closer now, louder, each one pushing the ground apart in bursts of dirt and stone. The man drags the girl behind the half-dug grave, crouching low as another bullet tears past. "Stay down! I'm not hiding. You are if you want to live." The girl shakes her head, eyes wide, breathing fast. "You think fire cleans sins?" The sheriff's voice rises through the chaos, calm and clear. The man looks up, eyes burning. It hides them. "Not from me." Another shot fires, this one closer than the rest. The man grabs the shovel, pulling it tight, scanning for an opening that does not exist. A spark catches in the dry grass near the edge of the clearing, small at first, almost nothing. Then the wind shifts. The flame grows, thin lines of orange crawling outward, feeding on the brittle ground. The girl sees it first. Fire. Her voice is barely a whisper. The man turns, and for a moment everything stops in his chest. The flames move fast, too fast, racing along the grass like they have somewhere to be. "No," he mutters, shaking his head. Another shot rings out, but it feels distant now. The girl stands suddenly, staring at the growing fire. "No, no, no." The man grabs her arm. "Get down! Look!" she shouts, pointing. The flames spread wider, climbing over the land, bending with the wind. "You burned her!" The girl's voice cracks as she turns on him, eyes filled with something sharp and wild. "I didn't!" The man snaps back, pulling her down again as another bullet strikes near them. "You watched! I was held down!" His voice breaks, louder now, raw in a way it has not been before. The fire pushes closer, heat beginning to press against their skin. The riders shift uneasily, some glancing toward the flames, others keeping their rifles steady. The sheriff remains still, watching everything unfold with a quiet, almost pleased expression. The girl shakes her head, tears cutting lines through the dust on her face. "You let it happen. I didn't. You were there. I couldn't move." His words come fast now, louder than the gunfire, louder than the wind. The fire crackles behind them, growing, feeding, remembering. The sheriff lets out a low laugh, the sound slipping through the smoke as it begins to rise. Truth sounds different when it's screaming. His voice carries easily, cutting through everything else. The man's head snaps toward him, something dark settling into his face. Another shot fires, grazing the man's shoulder, spinning him slightly before he steadies himself. The girl gasps, "You're hit! I'm fine!" He isn't, but he doesn't stop. The fire creeps closer, curling around the edges of the clearing, trapping them in a tightening circle. "We have to move," the girl shouts. "Not yet. We'll burn." "Not yet." His eyes lock onto the sheriff again, unblinking now. The riders shift again, less steady, the fire breaking control. One of them curses under his breath. Another pulls his horse back slightly. "You remember it, don't you?" the sheriff calls out, voice raised just enough to carry. "You remember the smell?" The man's grip tightens on the shovel until his knuckles go white. "Stop!" "You remember her screaming, 'Stop!'" The word tears out of him, louder than anything else so far. The girl looks at him, something changing in her expression. "You hear it every night. I said, 'Stop!'" The fire roars louder now, flames rising higher, heat pressing in from every side. The The sheriff smiles wider, eyes bright in the growing haze. You held still. No, you watched it burn. No, you did nothing. The man's breath shudders, something inside him cracking open. The girl grabs his arm. Don't listen! You buried it, the sheriff continues, voice steady, relentless. Right here. He nods toward the grave. You buried what you couldn't face. The man shakes his head, but the movement is weak now, uncertain. The fire reflects in his eyes, flickering, alive. A shot fires again, but this time the man moves differently. He drops the shovel, reaches down, and pulls the gun from his belt in one clean motion. The girl stares at him. What are you doing? Ending it. His voice is low, flat, nothing left in it but resolve. He steps out from behind the grave, ignoring the bullets that immediately follow, ignoring the heat that presses against his back. Stop! The girl screams. Get back! He doesn't listen. He raises the gun, aiming straight at the sheriff. You think this changes anything? The sheriff calls out, still smiling. Though his men shift more now, uneasy, the fire closing in. It changes enough. The man fires. The shot cracks through the smoke, sharp and final. One of the riders jerks, falling from his horse. The others react instantly, firing back, bullets ripping through the air. The man keeps moving, firing again, each shot more certain than the last. The girl watches, frozen between fear and something else she cannot name. The fire surges higher, flames now licking at the edges of the clearing, smoke thick, choking, blinding. Horses panic, rearing, breaking formation. One rider loses control, thrown to the ground as his mount bolts. The sheriff finally moves, pulling his gun, aiming directly at the man. You should stayed buried, he says, voice cutting through the chaos. The man stops, just for a second, meeting his eyes. Then he fires again. Something inside him breaks loose completely then, something that has been held down for too long. His movements become faster, sharper, no hesitation left. Each shot is deliberate. Each step forward pushing against the past instead of away from it. The girl steps back, watching him change in front of her. The man she thought she knew slipping into something harder, something unafraid. The fire roars around them, loud now, alive, remembering everything that was done in its light. The gunfire fades in uneven bursts, scattered and unsure, swallowed by the growing roar of flames that now circle the clearing like something alive and patient. Smoke thickens, rolling low across the ground, stinging eyes, filling lungs. Horses scream and pull against reins, some breaking free, vanishing into the burning brush. The sheriff's men are no longer steady. Their formation breaks apart in pieces, each man choosing his own way out. The sheriff remains, though even he has shifted back a step, coat catching ash, face lit by firelight that flickers too fast to read. The man stands in the center of it all, chest rising hard, gun still raised but no longer firing. The girl stands behind him, small against the wall of heat, watching everything with a stillness that does not belong to a child. The flames crack and bend, reaching higher, closer, wrapping the world in noise until nothing else should exist. Then the girl speaks. You left me. The words cut clean through everything. The man freezes. His hand tightens on the gun, but he does not turn yet. Stop! His voice is low, strained, barely holding together. The girl steps forward, closer to him now, closer to the center of the fire. You left me in that fire. The voice is not hers. It carries weight, age, something worn and broken beneath it. Stop talking like her. The girl's eyes do not move. I am her. The flames snap louder as if answering. You're not. His voice rises, sharper now, almost desperate. I remember everything. The man turns then, fully, eyes locking onto her face, searching for something that is no longer there. Smoke drifts between them, but it does not hide what he sees. His grip loosens. The gun lowers slightly. That's not possible. The girl tilts her head just a fraction, the motion slow, familiar in a way that twists something deep in him. You chose to live. The words land heavy, final. The man stares at her, breathing uneven. You chose. The fire presses closer, heat rolling off it in waves, but neither of them moves. I carried you, he says, voice cracking now, pulled from somewhere buried. I went back. You stopped. I couldn't see. You could hear. The man's face tightens, something breaking through the surface. The gun slips from his hand, falling into the dirt with a dull thud. He does not notice. "I tried," he repeats. Weaker now. "You chose to live." The words come again, softer this time, but sharper. The girl takes another step closer. Her face is streaked with ash, but her eyes hold something older, something that does not belong to the present. "I was there," she says. "I remember the heat. The man's breath calling you. Stop. I remember your hands letting go." The man shakes his head harder now, backing away a step. "No." The flames rise behind him, blocking the path, closing the space. "I didn't let go. You did. I was pulled away. You let them pull you." The sheriff watches in silence now, his gun lowered, forgotten for the moment as something else takes hold of the scene. Tears begin to cut through the ash on the man's face, thin lines carving down his cheeks. "I couldn't carry both of you." The words come out broken, raw, stripped of anything but truth. The girl does not blink. "You didn't try." The sentence lands without force, but it holds more weight than anything shouted before. The man's shoulders drop, his body folding inward slightly, like something inside him has finally given way. The fire roars louder, filling the silence that follows, but it cannot drown what has already been said. "I went back," he whispers, barely audible now. "After. After is not before." The girl's voice remains steady, unchanged. "I dug through it, you dug for yourself. I was looking for you, you were looking for peace." The man's hands shake at his sides, empty now, useless. "I never had it. You buried it." The wind shifts again, sending sparks into the air, swirling around them like small burning memories. "I didn't leave you," he says again, though it sounds weaker each time. "You walked away. I was dragged. You stopped fighting. I couldn't breathe. Neither could I." The words overlap, collide, neither giving ground. The sheriff shifts slightly in the background, but he does not interrupt. Even his men, those still nearby, have gone quiet, watching something they do not understand but cannot ignore. The girl steps closer still until only a few feet remain between them. The fire frames her, light bending around her shape, making her look almost unreal. "You felt it," she says. "You knew." The man closes his eyes for a moment, just a moment, and when he opens them again, something inside has changed. Not gone, but exposed. "I heard you," he admits, voice hollow. The girl nods once. "And you chose." The word echoes, softer now, but deeper. Silence stretches between them, thick, unbroken, louder than the fire that surrounds them. The man does not speak again right away. He stands there, breathing slow, each breath heavier than the last. The girl watches him, waiting, unmoving. The flames continue to rise, but they no longer feel like the center of it. The truth sits between them instead, heavier than heat, harder than smoke. "I was afraid," he finally says. The words come out simple, bare, nothing hidden in them. The girl's expression does not change. "So was I." The answer comes without hesitation. The man's eyes drop to the ground, to the dirt, to the place where the grave waits half open behind him. "I thought I could come back." "You didn't. I tried. You lived." The words circle back again, closing in, leaving no space to escape. The fire crackles louder, a sudden shift in the wind pushing it closer again, forcing the edges of the moment inward. The sheriff finally raises his gun slightly, but his eyes remain on the two of them. The man does not notice. He takes a slow step back. "Then Stewant?" he asks, voice barely steady. The girl looks at him, really looks, something flickering behind her eyes that is both hers and not. "You know," he shakes his head once, weak. "Say it." The girl holds his gaze. "Remember." The fire dies behind them in patches, still burning in places but no longer chasing. Smoke lingers low across the ground, clinging to their clothes, their skin, their breath. The riders are gone or scattered. The sheriff does not follow. The man walks without speaking, steps uneven, eyes fixed ahead like the land itself is pulling him somewhere he has tried not to go. The girl walks in front now, not looking back, not waiting, moving with quiet certainty through brush and ash, until the shape of something broken begins to rise out of the distance. The house, or what remains of it. Blackened beams, a collapsed roof, the memory of walls. He slows as they approach, something tightening in his chest again, But he does not stop. The girl does not hesitate. She moves around the side, past the burned frame, toward a place where the ground dips slightly and the weeds grow thicker. It's here. Her voice is calm again, but it carries that same weight, that same echo that has not left since the fire. The man looks around, eyes scanning the ruins, the dirt, the broken edges of what used to be. There's nothing here. His voice is tired now, worn thin. The girl steps closer to the dip in the ground, brushing aside dry grass with her foot. There is. He shakes his head once, slow. This well-dried years ago. The words come out automatic, like something he has told himself too many times. No. She kneels slightly, gripping the edge of the old wooden frame, half-rotted, barely holding together. The man steps closer despite himself, drawn by something he cannot name. The well sits quiet, dark inside, the opening small and forgotten, like it was never meant to be found again. There's nothing in there, he mutters, but his voice lacks conviction now. The girl reaches for the rope, brittle but still wound around the old handle. She pulls it loose, slow, careful, then begins to lower the bucket. The rope creaks as it slides down, the sound rough against the silence. The man watches, unable to look away. "Stop," he says, but it is softer than before, uncertain. The girl does not stop. The bucket drops deeper into the well, the rope feeding through her hands. The sound echoes faintly, then disappears. For a moment there is nothing. Just the faint shift of rope, the distant hollow of space below, then it hits, a dull, solid knock that does not belong to water or emptiness. Both of them freeze. The girl's grip tightens. The man leans forward slightly. What is that? His voice is barely more than breath. The girl does not look at him. Truth. The word settles into the space between them, heavier than anything before. The man stares into the dark opening, something in his face beginning to change again. "Pull it up," he says, though he does not know why. The girl nods once and begins to pull. The rope strains immediately, tighter than it should be, heavier than any bucket filled with water. The wood creaks under the tension. The man steps in, grabbing the rope above her hands. "Let me." She lets go without resistance. He pulls, the weight fights him. His arms tighten, muscles straining as he drags whatever is below toward the surface. The rope digs into his palms, rough and biting. He pulls again, teeth clenched, breath short. "It's stuck," he mutters. "No," the girl says quietly. "It's not." He pulls harder. The rope jerks, then gives slightly. Something shifts below. He stops for a second, then pulls again, faster now, urgency rising without reason. The rope inches upward, slow but certain. Something is coming with it. A shape begins to form beneath the darkness, faint at first, then clearer as it rises. The man's breathing grows louder. The girl watches without moving, her face unreadable. The bundle breaks the surface slowly, wrapped tight in old cloth, stained, worn, tied with something that once held strong. The man stares at it, hands frozen on the rope. The bucket hangs below it, barely visible. "What is that?" he asks again, though the answer already sits in his chest. "Truth," the girl repeats. The man pulls the rest of the way, dragging the bundle over the edge of the well and onto the dirt. The rope slips from his hands as he stumbles back slightly, eyes locked on what lies before him. The cloth is old, brittle at the edges, tied in knots that have not been touched in years. He shakes his head slowly. "No." The word comes out hollow. The girl steps closer to the bundle, then stops. "Don't open it." Her voice is quiet, almost gentle now. The man looks at her, confusion and fear twisting together. "Why?" She meets his eyes. "You already know." He looks back at the bundle. His hands hover over it, trembling slightly. "No," he says again, but there is no strength behind it. The girl does not move. The silence stretches, thick and pressing, until he can't stand it anymore. He kneels down slowly, reaching for the cloth. His fingers hesitate at the knot, then pull. The fabric resists for a second, then gives, unraveling with a dry, brittle sound. The smell comes first. Faint, old, buried deep. Then the shape beneath the cloth reveals itself piece by piece. Small, fragile, wrong. The man's breath catches hard in his chest as he pulls the fabric back fully. Bones, small bones curled slightly, resting where they were left. The world seems to tilt around him. No, the word breaks apart as it leaves him. The girl steps closer, standing just behind him now. You didn't save me. He shakes his head quickly, eyes wide, fixed on the bones. No, his voice rises, desperate now, reaching for something that isn't there. You saved the wrong one. The sentence lands with quiet finality. The man's hands drop to his sides, fingers curling into fists, then loosening again. He stares down at the remains, the truth, undeniable, unmoving. I carried you out, he says, voice shaking, almost pleading. I felt you. The girl's voice comes again, steady, unchanged. You felt someone. The man's head jerks slightly, like the words struck him physically. No, yes. I saw your face, not mine. The man's breathing becomes uneven, sharp. He looks at the bones again, then back at her, then back again, like he is trying to force the world to change. I went back, he says, louder now. I searched. You buried this. I didn't know. You didn't look. The man's hands rise slightly, then fall again, useless. I couldn't see. You didn't want to. The words cut deeper each time, stripping away what little he has left to hold on to. He drops to his knees fully now, the dirt pressing into him, grounding him in something he cannot escape. The well sits behind him, silent again, empty now that it has given up what it held. The house remains loomed nearby, watching without eyes. The girl stands over him, small but unshaken, her shadow falling across the bones. You chose? She says one more time, softer now, but no less final. The man bows his head, shoulders trembling, the truth settling into him piece by piece, heavier than anything he has carried before. The sheriff sat alone inside the church long after midnight. Rain struck the roof in slow waves. Water dripped through cracks near the windows. The candles near the altar had almost burned out. He kept staring at the floorboards like something beneath them wanted to speak. May stepped through the doorway first. Caleb followed behind her, carrying the lantern. Eli stayed near the back wall with the rifle resting against his shoulder. The girl entered last. She looked pale from exhaustion, but her eyes stayed fixed on the sheriff. Nobody sat, nobody prayed. The sheriff finally looked up. You came. May crossed her arms. You said you had the truth. I do. Caleb spoke quietly. Then say it. The sheriff swallowed hard. You think I burned your house? May answered immediately. You did. I was told to. Silence filled the church. Caleb stepped closer. By who? The sheriff looked at the floor again. The governor. Nobody moved. The rain outside suddenly sounded louder. May shook her head slowly. You're lying. I followed orders. You killed them. His voice cracked. You were supposed to die too. Ely gripped the rifle tighter. The girl stared at the sheriff without blinking. You were meant to be erased, he whispered. May's face tightened with confusion. Why? The sheriff looked toward the girl. Because she saw something. The room fell quiet again. The girl frowned. Saw what? The sheriff closed his eyes. The letters. Everything inside May suddenly stopped. The memory came back fast, the hidden papers, the locked drawer. Her husband covering something with shaking hands the week before the fire. Caleb looked between them. What letters? May spoke softly now. My husband kept documents hidden in the barn. You never told us that, Eli said. I thought they burned. The sheriff nodded once. That was the point. The girl stepped closer to him. What was in them? He hesitated too long. Caleb slammed his fist against a pew. Talk. The sheriff flinched. They were records, payments, land deals. May stared at him. The governor paid men to force families off their land, he continued. Fires, threats, hangings made to look like robberies. Ellie muttered, Jesus. The sheriff kept talking before courage disappeared. Your husband found proof. He planned to send everything north to the papers. May felt sick. He told me he found something dirty, she whispered. I thought it was gambling money. It was worse. The girl's voice turned small. I saw letters in the barn that night. Everybody looked at her. She swallowed hard. I woke up because the horses were screaming. I went outside. I saw men carrying boxes. May stared at her in horror. You never said that. I was scared. The sheriff nodded slowly. One of those men saw her watching through the barn door. Ellie's jaw tightened. So they killed everybody? They were supposed to. May stepped forward so quickly the sheriff backed away. You stood there and watched my family burn. I tried to pull your son out. You let the others die. I had orders. May struck him across the face. The sound echoed through the church. Nobody stopped her. The sheriff wiped blood from his mouth. You think I sleep? He asked quietly. You think any night passes without hearing them scream? You deserve worse. I know. Caleb looked toward the door. Why tell us now? The sheriff answered immediately. Because the governor is cleaning everything. Ellie frowned. What does that mean? It means witnesses disappear. The girl suddenly stepped backward. May noticed first. What is it? The girl looked terrified now. There was another letter. The sheriff froze. What? I took one before the fire. Nobody breathed. May grabbed her shoulders. Where is it? The girl looked down. I hid it in the well house. Caleb cursed under his breath. The sheriff moved toward her fast. Did anybody see you take it? I don't know. Think. I heard footsteps. The sheriff turned pale. Ellie lifted the rifle. Someone's outside. Boots creaked beyond the church walls, slow, careful, more than one man. The lantern light trembled in Caleb's hand. May whispered, How long have they been there? Nobody answered. A voice called from outside. Sheriff. Everybody recognized it. Deputy Tom, the sheriff, looked sick. Another voice followed. You come out alone. Caleb moved beside the door carefully. How many? May whispered. Ellie peeked through the broken window. 6. Maybe 7. The sheriff shook his head slowly. They know. May looked at him coldly. You brought them here. I swear I didn't. Deputy Tom called again. We already searched your office. The sheriff closed his eyes. They found the missing files. The girl's breathing turned uneven. May pulled her closer. Deputy Tom's voice hardened outside. Governor says the girl comes with us. Ellie cocked the rifle. No. Caleb blew out the lantern. Darkness swallowed the church. Rain hammered the roof harder now. The sheriff whispered into the black silence. If they take her, everybody dies. A gunshot exploded outside the church. Wood splintered beside the window. The girl screamed and dropped to the floor. Ely fired back instantly. The blast shook dust from the ceiling. Men shouted through the rain. Caleb shoved a pew against the front door. They're moving around back. May grabbed the sheriff by the collar. You fix this. I can't. You started it. Another shot tore through the wall behind them. The sheriff looked toward the girl again. Shame covered his face worse than blood. There's a tunnel beneath the altar, he said. Old smuggling route from the war years. Caleb frowned. Why hide that before now? Because I never thought I'd use it. Ellie reloaded quickly. We arguing or leaving? Deputy Tom shouted from outside. Last chance. The sheriff stepped toward the center aisle. I'll hold them here. May stared at him. Why? Because your husband once saved my life. Nobody spoke. The sheriff continued quietly. He knew what kind of man I was becoming. He still pulled me from the river after the flood. Rainwater leaked through the ceiling beside him. I repaid him with fire. May's anger remained, but something heavier settled behind it now. Regret. The girl reached into her coat and removed a folded paper stained in rain. She handed it to May without speaking. Across the top sat the governor's seal beside sentence ordering the deaths of everyone inside the farmhouse that night years earlier. Rainwater crawled through the broken church roof while gunfire cracked outside. The pew shoved against the front door shook every few seconds from heavy blows. Eli fired through the shattered window again and cursed under his breath when somebody screamed back outside. May knelt beside the sheriff near the altar steps. Blood spread beneath his coat in dark waves. He laughed anyway. Weak, wet, almost peaceful. You're dying, May whispered. I noticed. Caleb ripped open the floor hatch beneath the altar. Cold air rose from the tunnel below. The girl stood near the opening, clutching the governor's letter against her chest like it might disappear if she loosened her grip. We need to move, Caleb said. Nobody answered him. The sheriff kept staring at the girl. Not blinking, not breathing right. Like he finally understood something too late. Another gunshot blasted through the church wall. Splinters struck the candles beside the altar. Eli shouted, "They're coming through the stable side." Caleb reached for the girl's arm. Now she pulled away. "No." May looked up sharply. "Eliza!" The room froze. Even the sheriff stopped laughing. The girl slowly turned toward May. Her eyes looked hollow in the candlelight. "You remember now?" May swallowed hard. "I always knew your name." "No, you buried it." The sheriff whispered from the floor, "Jesus Christ." Eliza stepped closer to the wounded man near the altar. Not the sheriff, the other man, Deputy Tom. Nobody had seen him crawl inside after the shooting started. Blood soaked through his stomach while he leaned against the far pew, holding a revolver too weakly to raise it. His face looked gray, old, broken open. Eliza stopped directly in front of him. "Say my name." Tom stared at her without speaking. Rain hammered the roof harder. "Say it." "I can't." "Say it." His mouth trembled. "Eliza." Again. "Eliza." His voice cracked apart completely on the second time. Like the word itself cut through him deeper than the bullet wound. May felt something shift inside the church. Not relief. Something uglier. Tom lowered his head. "I buried you twice." Eliza stared at him without blinking. "You buried yourself too." "I lived, you hid." Tom closed his eyes outside. Men shouted orders through the rain. Boots splashed across mud near the church walls. Somebody yelled for kerosene. Caleb looked toward the windows. "We're out of time." Ellie reloaded again. "Then finish this fast." Tom laughed softly from the floor. Blood touched his teeth. "Confession don't fix anything." "No," Eliza said quietly. "But it ends something." The sheriff suddenly coughed beside May. Blood ran from the corner of his mouth. May pressed harder against his wound. "Stay awake." "I'm tired." "You don't get to rest yet." He smiled weakly.
That sounds like her.
May frowned. "Who?" "Your mother." Silence settled for one strange second. Eliza slowly looked toward the sheriff. His breathing turned uneven. May whispered, "What did you say?" The sheriff stared at the ceiling. "Your mother used to talk exactly like that." Eliza stepped closer. "You knew my mother?" The sheriff nodded once. Tom began laughing harder now. Sick laughter. Empty laughter. "There it is," he muttered. May grabbed the sheriff's shirt. "Tell me." "She worked at the governor's house before she disappeared." Eliza's face drained pale. "No. She found the letters first." Tom coughed blood against the pew beside him. "She threatened to expose everything." The sheriff looked toward Eliza carefully. "The governor ordered her killed." Eliza stepped backward like somebody struck her across the face. May reached for her. "Eliza, don't touch me. She died protecting you." "No." Eliza shook her head violently. "You're lying." Tom forced himself upright against the pew. "Your mother begged me to run with you. She knew they'd burn the farmhouse next." Eliza stared at him with pure hatred now. "You left her." Tom nodded slowly. "I was scared." "You watched her die." "I watched everybody die." Outside, flames suddenly appeared beyond the church windows. Orange light crawled across the walls. "They lit the stable," Eli shouted. Smoke began sliding beneath the church doors. Caleb climbed halfway into the tunnel. "Move now, or we burn with them." Nobody moved. Eliza looked between Tom and the sheriff. Two ruined men. Two cowards drowning inside old choices. Tom wiped blood from his chin. "I told myself saving you mattered. You saved yourself." "I know." The sheriff laughed weakly again from the floor. "That's the curse, ain't it?" May looked at him. "What?" Living long enough to understand. Burning wood cracked outside, smoke thickened around the altar. Eliza slowly knelt in front of Tom. Her face looked calm now. Empty. Worse than angry. "You spent years pretending I was dead." Tom nodded. "You let them bury my mother without a name." Another nod. "You hunted people for the same governor who killed her." Tom shut his eyes tightly. Eliza leaned closer. "Look at me." He obeyed. For the first time since entering the church, he stopped shaking. She whispered, "I'm ready." Tom's breathing broke completely. So did something inside him. Tom stared at her for a long moment while the fire spread across the church walls. The revolver finally slipped from his hand and landed beside the pew with a dull sound. Outside, men shouted again, but the voices felt far away now. May pulled the sheriff toward the tunnel opening. Caleb helped lift him under the shoulders, while Eli kept the rifle aimed at the front doors. "They'll break through any second," Eli warned. Eliza never looked away from Tom. "You said confession ends something," she whispered. "It does. What ends?" Tom looked toward the growing flames near the ceiling beams. The lie. Then he reached inside his coat slowly and removed a folded badge blackened by smoke and rain. He placed it at Eliza's feet. "I'm ready too." The church doors burst open behind them. Cold rain rushed inside with the firelight. Eli fired first. Tom never looked away from Eliza again as the bullets echoed through the burning church and the old town finally began choking itself awake.